in Podcast Detroit, recording live. Prepare yourself for a hoppy drive. If you're chilling at home, pop that growler and just kick back for the next 2 hours. It's the end of the week, so here's to the weekend. It's Better on Draft with Rob, Matt, Nick, and Ken.
It is episode 204, Better on Draft podcast. My name is Ken. Whoop. There we go. Tried it. It's hard to talk into the mic. I need the mic over here so that I can like play with the board.
You need like a stand microphone, kind of like how those Twitch streamers usually do,
or something that maybe comes from the ceiling.
Oh, no, that's a little high tech for this place.
That would be pretty cool.
It would
have mounts on the ceiling. But episode 204, Better on Draft podcast. It is Friday the 13th. And we got one more episode to go after this before the end of the year. We are taking it easy at the end of the year, not doing anything too crazy. Nick, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. You?
What are you drinking over there?
I got a little of everything going here. I got the Harpoon IPA. That's all it is. That's all it's called. This is the Quadruple Barrel Big Bad Baptist from last year, from Epic. And then the last of the dildos. Dildo Brewing Irish Stout.
So the black one.
They actually call it Stout Dildo is what the actual name of it is. Stout Dildo. It's the last one, the last of the six-pack.
And returning back, our writer, Ed, what's going on?
Not too much, Ken. How are you?
I'm good. What are you drinking over there?
I am double fisting with a dildo.
That sounds really wrong, dude.
It does. The Dildo Brewing, though, that's the one. And then this is going to sound awful, too, but it makes sense. So I also have Cinna-Gram on French Toast by Pigeon. And unfortunately, the woman on the can, Graham, she passed away this past week.
Oh, really?
So I'm having a tribute to the Pigeon family and everything like that with Cinna-Gram. So I brought some to share as well. So cheers.
I'll drink my dildo stout.
Right.
To you.
You know, that's we're laying out a little too thick for sure.
Whatever.
Before we introduce our other guest, I wanted to mention, so last week when we were talking with Wendy and we were talking about chasing beers, I mentioned, I'm not here to chase whales. I'm here to chase beers that I like. If I can't get the beer, I'm going to chase the beer that I like. And it's crazy because now that I think about it, like Surly's Coffee Bender, I would probably have chased, even though I can get it on the shelves now. Mm-hmm. But the one beer that was actually mentioned was Allagash White. And sure enough, I go to Oakland, California, and sitting on the shelf in Bevmo is some Allagash White. So I'm cracking it open, and it's good to go, and I am very, very happy. This was one of my this used to come in bombers, and I loved getting it from Zatouna Liquor over in Rochester Hills, and it was crazy because I'm like, oh, it doesn't get distroed here. Wait a minute, it used to, and I thought, you ever have one of those things like you thought you were crazy, like, oh, maybe I wasn't drinking that one beer I've been searching for. But no, it used to be distroed, and they scaled back a bunch, and Michigan just was on the chopping block.
Allagash, that's out of Maine?
Yes.
Maine?
Portland.
Maine.
Portland, Maine.
So you can get it. I mean, you can get it.
I can't do the Rob.
I was like, are you a sea buckler? Like, what do you? Is that? How do you say it's Rob?
You can get it like in Chicago, but it's a pain in the ass to go to a Benny's, and like if you have to go to multiple Benny's to get beers, because you can get Maine Beer Co. over in Chicago too, and it's not a good trip like when you have to go to Like, I love Benny's. Benny's is a great place to go, but it's just not a fun place to like try to traverse. Chicago, that is, not Benny's.
Right.
Next to you, we do have a special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Christy. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to hang out with you guys tonight. I don't really know what you want me to say, but
well, I've asked everyone, what are they drinking? What are you drinking?
well, I am drinking some Devil Dog French Toast Oatmeal Stout.
Nice.
Smells like brunch, so it's one of my favorites, indeed. And then I'm also drinking some dildo. Yeah.
Dildo stout.
We got the French toast crew down here.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that is a lot of cinnamon on the table for sure today.
It's delicious.
I see you got a PBR over there too.
Yeah, but always PBR.
Yeah, there you go.
A little light cleanse the palate.
Yeah. All right. Hey, there's nothing wrong with PBR on this table.
We always say if you like it, it's a good beer.
Right.
There you go.
I like that.
Yeah.
Who says that, Ken? Who's the
I mean, we might as well go. That's
I mean, come
Cinna
on,
Brewing over in-
softball pitch. Right? Come on, man.
Over in Northville, Michigan, just south of Baseline Road, over on North Center. I'm gonna have to remember the new
right, because
the
they're
new place
moving
here soon, since they're gonna be moving, and I'm gonna be brewing a beer there here soon.
Is it
That's
going to be
awesome.
an
What?
alt beer?
No, it's not gonna be an alt.
What?
It's gonna be keto friendly.
It's not gonna be keto friendly.
Oh, so many bingo squares, man.
I know.
I was thinking about it, and I wanted something that was light, easy to drink. Obviously, the malty backbone. So we're going to be doing a English mild.
Ooh.
Yeah, we've talked about English milds on this show. It's kind of like one of those styles that people seem to forget about sometimes.
Unfortunately, because they're so good.
I think
Nice
everyone
beer.
forgets about it
Wow.
because it's not. I mentioned it. I was talking to a guy on the Untapped Discord channel.
Wait, there's an untapped Discord channel.
Yeah, but just about everybody has.
I
a
know
Discord
everyone. I
channel
mean,
now.
heck, I mean, what you call it? Don't you have your own Discord?
I do. I didn't use it. I'll explain what happened with that.
Yeah, you
But
can tell me later.
I'm in like 2 Harry Potter Wizards Unite, like the little phone game Discords.
That's worse than
All right.
Pokemon Go. I'm just gonna say it.
That's fine. You can judge me all you want. I don't care.
To each their own.
I mean, I could be spending money on crack or something.
Or
That's
beer.
Seriously, but yeah.
Who spends money on?
I'm on the NFL Streams Discord.
I just Google that shit.
Well, I mean, you get a chance to talk to people on
I
these.
just Google CFL streams too.
Well, that was I actually went to a Quizzo last night, and
Yeah.
that one of the questions was about the Grey Cup and the something about I can't remember the names of who played for it.
The most recent one?
Yeah.
The Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
There you go.
The fuck? Come on. Damn.
Hey,
How do you know
hey,
that?
hey. There's a long off season after NFL ends in February, okay?
This is like my gray area. I have no clue what
sports?
you're- Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
no,
okay.
not sports. Like
Football?
random shit sports.
Canadian football?
Canadian football?
Canadian
Canadian
football,
football?
aka random shit sports.
Maybe I'll have to get interested in the CFL because it's gonna be a long summer with no hockey because you know they're not getting past.
Oh,
April. I don't know. If
Oh, what was that? Didn't they just get their first win in the last 13 games last night?
They have another drought?
they did.
Jesus.
They did.
I just tuned them out.
At this point, I was kind
yeah.
of hoping they were like a 12 loss streak or something, and it's like, why don't you just go for the league record at this point?
Might as well.
Hey, you know what that means though? Hopefully tickets will drop in price and I can go. That's what
Here's
that
hoping.
means.
Here's
right.
hoping.
It kind of all depends. Like you're never like an 06 game, the tickets won't drop. But if they're playing someone like
Right.
Yeah.
not local, maybe the Kings, you might get a ticket
Right.
drop game for
Right.
sure. But
Yeah.
like if it's Toronto, those tickets will skyrocket
They'll
because
get scooped up.
It's
it is
still more expensive to go to
it's
the Toronto games.
it's cheaper to take a bus,
Yep.
go to Detroit,
Yep.
go see the game,
That's
and
terrible.
drive back.
Yep. My brother-in-law's from Toronto, and he would tell us that all the time that it was cheaper.
Yeah, so,
Jeez.
we noticed it. I went with my ex a few years ago to the Toronto game, and, leaving
Yep.
Joe Louis, and you just see buses
Yep.
of Canadian buses and people, and I'm like, oh, are those like the player buses or something like that? Like,
Nope.
did they drive down here? And sure enough, no, it's just a bunch. And they mention it all the time. If anybody's a fan of Letterkenny, they mention how much like Upper Bowl tickets are for. It's like $150 for Upper Bowl tickets.
Easily, yeah.
My gosh.
Squirrely Dan, who's one of the characters, will always say, "If you think I'm going to pay $150 for Upper Bowl tickets, you can suck my Babscock." So
Oh, gosh.
He just got fired.
Babcock
Yep,
did get
he
fired.
did just get fired. And he actually, who was it that was just criticizing him?
Oh, like a bunch of older people. Jeremy
Yeah.
McCarty and a bunch of people. have been
Yeah.
talking
Yeah, I
about,
saw
Was
that.
it Franzen one of them, too?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
He was a
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah.
No,
Apparently.
definitely nobody held back. But I mean, to
Hey.
be honest, Blashill was not the godsend everyone thought he
Hey,
was going to
Babcock won. Enough said. Okay.
be. So I wanted to start off the
Shift back to
conversation
beer.
today because there was a really interesting movie that I saw while I was flying home from Delta.
The Russian Five.
Oh, I did see that a few times ago. Honest to
So
God,
good.
cried.
Same.
Yeah.
You knew
Same.
full well what happened. You lived it.
Doesn't matter.
And
Is that the ESPN one? I'm gonna play dumb again. Is that the ESPN one?
No,
Where-
that's the third. The one that you're thinking is the 30 for 30. That's
Yeah.
that follows the Russian Federation after the 80 Olympics or the 84 Olympics? The 80?
I think it's 80.
1980 Lake Placid Games.
But did this one have to do with the Red Wings, though?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
this
the
one
Russian
had to do
fire.
with the Red Wings.
Okay,
but
okay.
that one talked about how like they followed the Russian team after the loss and how it impacted them when they got.
So
back
I
home and all
am
that.
thinking. Thank you for clarifying. I am thinking of the one that you're talking about then.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the Russian
Yeah.
Five is the one like the documentary.
Yes,
Wasn't
yes.
that locally done?
I believe so.
Okay. all right.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah.
So
all right, we're getting
Phenomenal.
sidetracked, but go on.
I
with the movie.
needed my clarification.
No, it's okay.
Dick.
It's all good.
Delta definitely has a lot of sports things like the U Part 2's on there, the Bad Boys,
Of course they do. Union, Miami.
whatever.
Yeah.
So the movie that I actually watched was a documentary called Kings of Beer.
Kings of Beer.
Kings of Beer.
Is that on Netflix?
I don't believe so.
Explain what Kings of Beer was
So
about.
Does that have to do with kings and convicts?
no.
Okay.
No.
Well.
Kings of Beer is basically went over this contest that all of the Budweiser breweries have. They brew Budweiser. Like, I'm not saying like Budweiser own like, that brew Bud Light or whatever. No, like Budweiser brewers.
Okay.
And they all every month have to send in their beer, and their beer gets rated by the tasting panel over in I think it's St. Louis. So
Wow.
it follows all of these brewers. So they had a brewer from Fort Collins, Houston, and this was actually recorded when the hurricane hit Houston.
Oh shit.
So they're talking about that. One of them was from China, and like they have this huge award at the end of the year. Whoever the top brewmaster is gets this big cup
For making Budweiser.
for making Budweiser. Now, I've mentioned this on the show a bunch, and we can kind of debate it a little bit if you want, but I always say that like Budweiser is one of the best made beers in the world. And I say this because it is the most consistent, no matter where you go. And by consistency, I'm talking the Budweiser that you get here in Detroit. They want it to taste the exact same when you go to Houston or you go to China or you go to, Hawaii. They want that Budweiser to taste the exact same. So changing.
You can respect that level of quality control,
And that's what really the entire movie is talking about quality control of their Budweiser, that brand, that specific brand.
Sure.
So yes, it's not maybe the most tasty. It's not maybe the best made, but one, it's a lager, so it ain't the easiest beer to make in the first place. There's nothing you can hide about it. One of the quotes from the movie is that I can hide a dead cat in a double IPA.
That's true.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
And that's why I'm not saying like Budweiser's business tactics, we could talk about how shady and shitty they are all the time.
Yeah.
We could talk all about that kind of thing, but in regards to the Budweiser beer itself is one of the best made, consistent made beers because they put so much time, effort into making sure again that beer is up to their own standards.
And that's admirable, I think. I mean, it's probably not a beer.
I mean,
you're
you're welcome to disagree with me. I'm not saying it's the best tasting or the highest rated. I just think it's
It's the most consistent.
I'm not thinking of that, Ken. I'm not trying to disagree with you, but my question goes to that panel.
yeah.
How the fuck do they do that if they are the most consistent beer? Like, how good are those panelists that are tasting that consistent beer? You know
Well,
what I mean?
what-
Like, what's the...
What event was this?
Was
Well, it's not an
It's
event.
not. It's,
Wasn't an
it's
event?
internal.
Oh.
Yeah, this
So,
is
so they
internal.
did a movie and they basically had a contest.
Well, no. So they do it every year.
Right.
So they have to send their bottles to St. Louis to get verified that their beer is being made to the standard of Anaheim.
Oh,
So
okay.
true to style.
Yeah, the truest to the recipe. Not even necessarily a style, but the truest to the recipe.
It says Budweiser brewmasters from 65 breweries in 23 countries battled to see who can brew the best and most consistent American lager.
That's crazy.
So
They
one
get
of
the coveted Global Brewmaster Cup.
one of them just because I remember her name. Her name was Jane Killebrew, and she is the
an
global
excellent name.
VP of Brewing and Quality. Worked for Anheuser-Busch for 30 years.
Wow. Shit.
So
Talk about being a lifer.
they didn't necessarily mention, if they have Cicerone status or anything, because most master Cicerones are Miller Coors and Anheuser-Busch employees.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, if you go to the Cicerone.org website, you can actually look up anyone that has every level of the Cicerone is on that website. So you can look up and try to sort by locality or what company they work for. So when trying to find for like the Golden Jiggers this year, shout out to Batch Brewing, who won Best Brewery, and that May won Best Cicerone, and One Eyed Betty's won Best Beer Program.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So that was all that. So when looking up Cicerones, I was like, oh, well, who are the local Cicerones around here? And 2 out of the 3, Annette has not been on the show, but the other 2 that we know very well is Zach Topinski, who actually won last year, her current owner and head brewer over at Urban Rest, and Mike Turif. He is the owner of M4, who called in when M4 was in studio.
Yes.
Wasn't he was on the podcast with us in at Web?
Yeah, at World Expo. Yes.
Yeah, he was with us.
I think he did like it wasn't planned, but he stopped in and
he kind of jumped in.
He jumped in
with his crew. You know?
It's like, oh, we got like 10 people here now. Hey, come on over.
He is a very, very fun, great guy to just listen to and talk to. He has a very interesting insight in the business that I love hearing from him.
It's different. It's different because he actually, being that he is in the industry and giving that opinion or that viewpoint, needless to say, that makes it unique and fun to talk to.
So one of the things that I learned though, looking at this, and this is kind of as we're seeing a bigger pull for people to, or for women to come into the industry, there was in the finalists 2 women, 2 men. Not because it was the top 2 women. It was just 2 women, 2 men.
They just ended there.
One was actually there was a white woman and a black woman, and between the 2 men, one was a guy from Fort Collins, the other guy was from China.
Cool. Okay.
You noticed during the competition and stuff, there was a lot more, at least at Anheuser-Busch, head brewers that were females, people of color.
That's awesome.
And it's a really interesting take on what we see currently in the craft beer industry. We don't see that type of diversity. That's a good word. That was the word I was looking for. I was like, there's a word.
She's got your back, man.
Starts with a D.
Versity.
So it was great to see that, and definitely a good watch. I don't know. I'll check it to see if you can stream it anywhere.
It's according to IMDb, which by the way currently carrying a rating of 7.3 out of 10.
That's not too bad.
On 19 ratings, but that's okay. You can get it on Prime Video. Looks like.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So I'll have to check that and double check that for sure.
So
apparently Officer Ramathorn is in this movie?
I think he's the director.
Is he the director? Okay. And then Mother Nature from the Santa Claus 3, Aisha Tyler?
Aisha Tyler. I didn't...
I like that's your point of reference.
Well, I'm like, I know that name. Like, Aisha Tyler. Who is she from? Oh, she played Mother Nature in the Santa Claus.
Isn't she also on like Criminal Minds though?
Well, she played Lana from Archer. She did the voice for Lana.
Yeah.
And I'm like, gosh, that name sounds so familiar. Who? I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, he was in it during an interview segment. And he talked about how his grandma watched Beer Fest. And said,
excellent,
and mentioned that there was too much drinking in the movie.
A movie called
Beer
Beer
Fest.
Fest, yeah.
So, if you're flying Delta, even if they don't have the TVs on the plane that you're on, the Delta app allows you free video watching via the Delta app and their Wi-Fi, which is free. The Wi-Fi isn't free, but to connect to the Delta app to watch the movie is free. You don't have to pay for the Wi-Fi.
So Kings of Beer is on Amazon Prime Video.
Nice.
Yep, Bill Carney actually just posted it in our chat room.
Hey,
as
Bill.
Well.
Hey, Bill.
The map master for mibeermaps.com for sure.
And it's carrying a pretty good rating on Amazon as well.
Cool.
About 4-ish.
Now we were talking about chasing beers last week, and I kind of want to bring up one thing. Have you guys gone after any of those new releases that have come out?
No.
Bell's Vanilla Black Note or
No, not yet.
Quad Hipster Rye Brunch Stout thingy?
Mixed with Cars, chocolate peanuts, or something. French press. You know, we were all four of us. We were talking about chasing beer. I've said countless times on this show, Flying Buffalo is the one that I will chase. I have gotten completely out of the chasing game. If it stumbles, in my path, and I just so happen to have the money on hand, then yes, I will get a bottle or a 4-pack or whatever.
I completely agree. I mean, there's just so much good beer out there that I mean, if there's a beer you love, like the one you were talking about earlier that you were able to find while you were out in California,
actually, if you want to pass that down,
Pass that
Let me
around.
check it out. Yeah.
Plenty to share for sure.
But I think there's so much good beer out there that I don't know. I'm in the same boat. Like Flying Buffalo, I'll go to the release day. It's always fun to try their new varieties, but I'm not gonna go spend hours going to 15 different liquor stores or different release places.
Chasing trucks.
It sounds like you've done that before. I think
I have friends that I have heard who will do that, but I mean, I love just as much as going to Holiday and seeing what do they have in their like pick a 6-pack type of.
Did you pick up the Austin Brothers Holiday?
I did not. I did not.
I saw that. I saw they posted that.
I saw them post. They sell out of stuff so quickly. I love that they post, and I love that they have like the 4 taps there. It makes it really nice. But they like sell out of stuff there so quickly. It is such a phenomenal spot to get beer.
I just find myself just shopping around with my eyes and not really buying anything. Like yesterday, I had to go get milk for dinner. We had hamburger helper for dinner last night.
All right.
And I went to Liquor Book because there's like no grocery stores on my way home ever.
Is that place still an overpriced piece of trash?
I'm not gonna comment.
Where is
that.
this at?
This is 19 and Mound.
I'm sorry, like you did it during the craft beer lull of like the late 2000s, and they were selling you like a 12-pack of Fat Tire like when it just came in for like $20.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
But anyway, I found myself just looking.
Yeah.
I didn't buy anything. I mean, they had some of the the variants of the Big Bag Baptist that were just released this year. But it's like I'm finding myself just more intrigued just by looking at the shelves now and just seeing what's out there. I can wait probably until, for the most part, for the next festival to try some of this stuff. Like I'm not in any hurry to go and do this because there's, like you said, so much
That's
out
the thing.
there.
It gets overwhelming. And
It does.
Everybody is making more and more creative labels and coming up with these funky, punny names. And so I find myself either leaving with nothing, like you said, or I'll get something completely random because I was like, there's a picture of a cat on a skateboard. That seems funny.
Yep.
Like, I don't even know what beer this is.
see, for me, my choices are usually either I leave with nothing or something that I've had before.
Yeah.
See, I won't even do that.
It is a rarity. I can't even tell you the last time I bought a 6-pack of a beer I've never had.
Oh, I'm so leery about buying a full 6, especially like nicer beers when it's kind of expensive. Like, I'd rather do like the pick 6 type of thing.
But even if I went with a style, like if there is a style, like Odd Side Drops, say a red ale, like I wouldn't, and I love red ales, and it's hard for me to find if it's not a
Consistently good red ale.
like Eric the Red over at Dragon
Mead,
like
good
that's
Yep.
that would be a consistently good red ale. Like I Killian's, like
I was gonna say, even though it's the macro route, Killian's.
I admire all of your self-control.
Do you just go buy all the beer?
Oh my God, all the beers, especially because we were talking about bottle shops last week. Yeah. So I'll walk into my local bottle shop and I will walk out with
Too much.
Yeah, I think I spent $60 last week.
Oh my gosh.
It was 12 bottles, all right. It was worth it. I had to get a box to.
How stocked is your beer fridge at home?
It's I have a beer shelf, and then the basement has all of
I love it.
And how's wifey feel?
Yeah, well,
Nah. don't feel bad. Wifey on my wife feels the same way. She's like, yeah, you got to empty out this closet. I don't have.
You got a closet?
I have a closet.
I have 2 shelves in the
two
floor.
shelves. I have a closet, and that's about it. And then I have my in-laws' basement fridge.
I had to buy a mini fridge.
Exporting it.
A mini fridge wouldn't fit everything I have, Ken.
Well, I had to at least move something.
Sure,
well, sorry. Let me rephrase that. The mini fridge first started as that's where I just put all my food because I use the regular fridge for the beer.
See,
What went on the freezer
so
side?
True.
I don't have this problem. My husband and I both love a ton of beer. So if there's literally all beer in our fridge and then maybe like a milk and cheese and lettuce, it's fine. Like we'll figure it out. But
We'll figure something out for dinner.
you can make something out of
Taco
that.
Bell, let's go.
Hey, I heard Grubhub's got a special.
Yeah.
You have Grubhub where you live? I don't.
Because you're a really big, deep West Side.
Well, so
I'm just playing.
talking about Grubhub, you know, there are delivery services. Like Shipped can ship alcohol.
Wait, is Ship the Meyer one?
Yes.
I think so.
But there are alcohol-based shipping companies down in like Texas has got Drizzly.
Yeah, I've heard of these.
I think it's actually out of Boston, but I've used it only in Texas. Do you think that would help you with your self-control, or do you think you would buy more?
It'd be funnier
because
because
you're
you just go like,
not.
ooh, click, click.
If someone, click, click, click. If someone else was delivering it, I just gotta make sure, Nick,
Yeah.
the wifey's not home.
Oh, I now that part I know about.
The delivery's delayed.
Yep.
Right?
I feel like in my house, I'm the one who goes out and buys a bunch of weird beers. And my husband was like, "What did you come home with today?"
What is this?
Last time I came home with like a Mozango and like Combat Wombat though, so he was pretty happy because those are both phenomenal.
And I camped out today at work, and I bought the beer release for Old Nation's Me My or My Me or whatever it is.
Oh yeah,
Triple IPA.
Mo my, me
Yeah.
my,
Yeah.
me my mo's.
So I have that. So Nick, let me know.
Okay. I'll let you know. Please, I really need to get rid of this stuff in my closet.
We got a couple more. Well, we're going dry in January, so
Yeah, I know.
Some of you are.
I know.
I will oblige by it on the show, but I won't. I'm a beer blogger, you know.
You do have a job
yeah. But you can blog.
outside of your
Right. I
normal
reached
job.
out to Reputation.
Yep, there
I
you go.
found what to review there and where to get it, and I'll be looking at some dry
Yep.
options.
Fair enough.
We'll be doing some dry reviews. We'll be try to maybe do a
Non-alcoholic.
non-alcoholics.
Yep.
Yep. Some maybe instead of a brewery review, maybe a
Old
site
rules.
that does a lot of mocktails, like a M Cantina.
Sure.
fun, yeah.
There's a handful of non-alcoholic bars that do those kinds of mocktails in the
And
area.
I even have
so-
Old Nation on my list. I'm planning on doing a review of Old Nation's root beer.
Okay.
They
Nice.
have it on tap on draft
nice.
regularly, and it's on my way home. So
Pretty
On your way home from work?
Yep.
Oh, nice. Even better.
every single day. So
Even better.
I just popped open a crowler of Old Nation's Arch Enemy. So if you know the backstory on Arch Enemy, I can tell you off air, and we can share this one. But it's a chocolate milk stout.
it's named after
jeez.
Matt.
It is.
It's
I
named
waited
after
one
fun.
episode.
Wait, like our Matt?
Yes,
It's named after our
Oh, you have
Matt.
to tell me.
Oh.
Tell me later.
I'll tell you off
tell-
air,
Yeah,
yeah.
tell me during the break.
So-
Sounds like quite a story.
Well, the story did get aired on 97.1.
It
The
did.
Ticket.
I heard that.
Shit.
Mark told me that actually when I
Yeah,
bought this.
I
Try some of that?
Matt called out Mark Logus over at M43 or M43
What,
at Old
43?
Nation. You know, a lot of brewers love they love it and hate it, but they love the fact that if you have a brand that represents the fact that your beer is the name of the brewery, then you're doing something correct.
Or arguably,
yeah.
Ken, their flagship, right?
And M43 is their flagship for sure.
It is. It is their flagship.
Well, that's what kind of brought their brewery back, right?
M43, yeah.
Yeah.
So I got some friends that live out that way, and it was.
We
doing
have
so well for a while.
so Matt called out Mark via the text messaging service through 97.1. They read it out on the air. So then Mark
Oh my gosh.
got called, like somebody called
By
Mark.
multiple people, he said.
Yeah. So Mark actually called in, told the story, and Mark is the a-hole in this story for sure.
Oh, for sure.
And like he is well aware, like he took it in stride, everyone on the show calling him out for what he did. And he actually named a beer after Matt. So this is Matt's arch enemy. What kind of beer is this again?
Chocolate milk.
Chocolate
stout?
milk stout.
Chalcom.
Nice.
I don't think it has anything to do with Matt itself, but
Right, like the beer is a chocolate milk. There's no connection between a chocolate milk stout. I think they just brewed it and they're like, what should we name it? Arch enemy. Because I think that was the 97.1 thing. It was like, call out your arch enemy on air. And
was that during when Valeni was on?
I have no idea.
This was like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're like, call it your arch enemy, and Mark told me that like people were saying like the MCAT is my arch enemy because I can't get my score or whatever, or like my blah 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 or my blah blah in law or whatever, you know. And Matt texted in and said Mark from Old Nation.
Mark from Old Nation.
So that's where arch enemy came from.
Well,
the beer came after. The beer came before that call.
did they just rename it?
So there's
No,
some
it's
history
always
there.
been arch enemy.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, it had to do with something else too. This is chocolate muck beer. I mean, I don't know if you guys have taken a sip yet.
It's pretty good.
I don't know if I'm gonna like it. Then.
Pretty good. It's
Have
not
you had
keto
it?
friendly.
There's is it Left Hand out of St. Louis that does
The
nitro?
nitro milk stout.
yeah.
I don't know.
Was that
That was me pouring it.
Oh,
You gotta like pour hard. It says pour hard, you know. So I'm like,
I was there.
yeah, I didn't catch that, but I'm glad you. glad we have that on video.
hard.
That was intense.
I remember my first episode. Weren't we talking about the Asian carp and how they
yeah.
throughout the air or whatever? And you were like, I hope you caught that on video.
Guys, you
did.
can watch all of our videos on our YouTube and Facebook page, youtube.com/betterondraft, as well as facebook.com/betterondraft.
You know, speaking of old episodes for a moment, one of the guys that I worked with in my office, he just retired after as an official employee before he was a contractor for like 20-something plus years. So shout out to my man Frank. He subscribed to the show, so he's going to listen to us.
Awesome.
Congrats on retirement, Frank.
I know. But I was having a really, really hard time trying to navigate on Google Play where to find us. It was like really hard.
Have you tried typing in Better on Draft?
I did. I had a hard time doing that.
Okay, boomer.
Excuse me? Damn millennial.
Who uses Google
Still in my
Play?
20s.
I know. Don't even give me a start about the generation thing. It's so depressing. Oh, wait. Am I the oldest on the table right now?
I believe so.
So wait, what were you talking about Frank for? What was the Frank story?
Oh, I was having a hard time trying to navigate to find it, to subscribing it for him.
On Google Play,
On Google
right?
Play.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
because, being an Apple guy,
Yeah, why isn't he using like Podcast Addict or
I use Castbox.
or Spreaker?
I used to do
What are those? I don't
that
even know
one
what those
that
are.
I
paid
have
you.
no idea.
iHeartRadio.
I used to do the one that paid you, and then they went out. They went under.
They paid you to listen to podcasts?
They did. They paid me to listen to podcasts.
Freaking awesome.
And they would pay me in like
or something?
yeah, it was something crazy, like
Okay.
for every 10 minutes or something.
Oh, for like duration?
So one coin.
Damn, our
was-
episodes would probably get bank.
right, right. That's where I like got my listens in. But they went under, and I just cracked like 1,000 whatevers or whatever.
Did you
coins.
get to like redeem them?
No, because I reached out to them. I said, "Hey, like I'm almost there," and they were like, "Okay, we'll give you $2 in Amazon."
Oh,
$2
jeez.
for 1,000 credits?
What an
Yeah.
insult, dude.
At least they gave it to me.
I mean,
Like,
they coulda given you
normally we
nothing.
don't,
Yeah.
but here you go.
$2 in
Sure,
Amazon.
we'll just credit your account. Done. Moving on. Next business.
All right. So before we take a break, I want to go over one piece of news real quick. Speaking about, we were kind of talking about sports earlier.
Yes.
And last year we were kind of talking about college sports and how venues are starting to allow alcohol sales, which is crazy that they never had allowed alcohol sales at these venues before. So a report out of Louisiana State University states that over 54,000 beers or glasses of wine was purchased during the LSU Florida game last Saturday.
Are you kidding me?
Based on their pricing, they sold $400,000
Holy shit.
in liquor during that game.
It was LSU, Florida?
LSU, Florida. Tiger Stadium, so that's LSU Tigers, had actually broken their record set on August 31st when the university sold over 27,000 beers during the LSU Georgia game.
Wow. That's
So
Huh.
they doubled from 27,000 to 54,000. So Rob's our news guy. He's obviously not in today, so I'm just going to read it verbatim what he says. He says, obviously, this seems good for beer business, probably more so with the macros like Bud, Coors, and Miller. With stadium capacity of 102,000, this comes out to almost 2 beers per person in attendance. That doesn't make right.
That's not good math.
Yeah, that's
like half.
You know, Rob, why did I have to read this one?
A beer for every 2 people.
Yeah, one beer for every 2.
I mean, granted that a lot of these college stadiums,
right? You got to factor in the underage kids.
Yeah,
whether or not.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
what's
using
so
their
funny,
Pennsylvania
he
fake,
actually does the math here. He says 102,231 seats, 54,794 drinks, and 1.86 drinks per person. And I'm like, I think you got that backwards, Rob.
And you're the one who read it aloud, though, Ken.
I trusted
Fact
Rob.
check.
You trusted Rob.
I trusted
So,
Rob.
you know, a couple years ago, I went to my very, very first college football game, and it was Michigan State at Spartan Stadium.
Okay.
I am not a Spartan fan in that rivalry.
So you shop at Walmart?
I do shop at totally
Gotcha.
shop at Walmart.
Noted.
Yep. What I'm like, hey, where's the beer around here? And they're like, oh, there's no beer. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. Not that I care. It was just it was different. And now seeing like these SEC schools like LSU and Florida and Georgia, obviously with the better football program, are doing such a thing. I wonder what kind of trouble they usually get into when they do these. Granted that there's probably a lot of underage drinking at these games.
I think most of the people doing underage drinking isn't trying to buy beer at the stadium.
No, they're probably pre-gaming.
They're
They're
pre-gaming.
They're
They're
totally
tailgating it in.
pre-gaming outside of the stadium.
They don't need that $8 beer.
Yeah, they're broke college kids. This is definitely geared towards the alumni who are at the game.
Yeah,
for sure.
what you're saying is that they're drinking hams at the frat house. Is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
I drank Liney's at my tailgates when I was on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you guys.
All right.
Where is a place that is dry that you would love to just add alcohol to?
Ohio.
just all of Ohio.
All of Ohio.
When
Actually, I don't even know. I don't. Are they? I think they're dry, aren't they? Or they have some dry laws or something like that.
They
In the
do. I think
States?
it's Sunday. You
Sunday?
have to wait until a
So,
certain time.
but I think so. It used to be like what Michigan was.
Yeah,
on
we used
Sunday.
to have
They had the
that.
blue. That was it. The blue laws.
Blue laws, yep.
Yeah.
And then they
I'm
used
too
to
young.
have
Yeah.
the
I don't know what that
So
means.
So in Michigan, you actually were not able to purchase alcohol until noon on a Sunday.
Yeah.
This isn't this law
wasn't
change.
that long ago.
Yeah, I was gonna
Was
say
in the
this
last
law change was
10,
only like
15 years, I think.
Yeah.
I was at least 21, so less than 12 years.
I actually remember that law very distinctly, even though I was a younger kid and going to the Lions games at the Silver Dome. And
In the
and we would get, my dad and I would get there, and then noon would strike, and then the guy at the concession stand's like, beer sales are open, and I'm like,
What?
but we've been here for about 30 minutes already. Aren't you guys selling now? And then my dad explained to me, well, they can't sell until noon. I'm like,
We used to have that crazy law that it was like 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve until 7 a.m. the day after Christmas.
Yes.
You
I
couldn't
do
sell
remember that. Yeah.
alcohol.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a crazy time back in the early 2000 or late 2000s.
It's so weird how how far we've come to change,
especially Michigan, right?
Especially
Look at all the
Michigan.
breweries and stuff.
More alcohol all the time.
And pretty soon sports betting.
Let's just
Yeah.
raise the distro laws.
Like
Get our sports betting in.
Like for me, I would love to be able to drink at say without issue like a public park. Like if I have a family event over there and we're doing something, or say I want to take my girlfriend out and we go for a picnic, I want to bring a bottle of wine, and I just don't want to have to worry about a cop high on his power trip that day to be like, hey,
This little segue coming over.
You just gotta put it in like a koozie or a cooler.
You just put it in a water bottle.
But
There
that's the thing is that I don't want to have to do that. I just want
He
to
wants
bring
to be
it.
classy about it.
Right.
I want to
pop it open.
I want to show my
Yeah,
glass
it needs to
bottle.
be a
That's what I
whole
want to do.
show.
Right.
Shit.
Pop it open and
My glass bottle.
But yeah, like at any type of like I don't want the need to have a special license or permit or something like that.
No.
That
you
makes
gotta,
a lot of sense.
Nick, you're so far away from the mic.
I know. I'm just sitting back.
And he still doesn't. All right. I think at this point we're going to take a quick break. Nick is playing by his own rules, apparently.
No rules. We're not pairing. What are you doing?
As always, our breaks are sponsored by the Ferndale set. This is LXO. We'll be right back. Better on Draft Podcast.
Everybody set them up Shit's Creek. And I just said something embarrassing to Cheryl Teagues. And I'm aware of tease, but I'm staring at a parodies. High five, bro, singing somewhere. 5 or less sign, think about a rise and decide that I'm gross. And find time with fine folks. I'm some ride or die close. And want to ride a unicycle across the tightrope. Like the battle, I might choke. I might choke the shit out of a rapper with the right quote. I hate to be accused of hyperbole. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, courtesy. Yo, I'm 33. Give a fuck about your diet serving me. Insert your favorite surgery. Whole goddamn circus is absurd to me. Return to a mercy me, murder modernity permanently. Yeah, big perm picturing some urban weed. But y'all are nervous about a turpentine. Running from the gun serpentine. I've had the perfect week. Earth to dweebs. Since I've learned to tweet, I've been like large extra large. Bars, Escobars, hardest and cars. Tarnish the stars. Charge at the guards. Garnish with law. Partial cigars. Large extra large.
Fill my pockets with the wallet of a misanthropic pill. Pop it ill, gotten hit the chill spot. Y'all got the pot of chili hot. Really not dealing with you Billy Bobs. SOB. Silly sob stories getting gory with the Philly cheese. Spill it on my filthy jean jacket. Reenactment of a pigeon crapping. Pissing in your picnic basket. Pigeon catch you sick and fetch. Wiggle like you pitched a tent. Rhymes a beat so sick you wretch. Sitting on your picket fence, you hit the deck. Wicket's jaw, chop 'em like a chicken neck. Second best, something that I'll never be like sick of sex. Pick up checks, something that I never do. Pickle eggs, something that I never chew. Get respect, something that I never knew like revenue. Resolute to evolute. Get up off my level in your devil suit. I don't need your residue, your resume embellished, mine is bulletproof. Bully on cubes for the fennel super friend of few.
Large extra large, bars, Escobars, hardest and cars. Tarnish the stars, charge at the guards. Garnish with law, partial cigars. Large extra large, bars, Escobars, hardest and cars. Tarnish the stars, charge at the guards. Garnish with law, partial cigars. Large extra large. Exhausted in a soft spot, soft, but I get off, and I thought I might be a great one beneath it. What I make from the songs that I make in layman's, I'm a straight bum, dumb how I radiate. Radio made with love, integrated, I'm a grade above. Ayo, I'm patient with impatient love, sanely for my space and funds, forever keep a face of fuzz, amazing with your taste buds, never make a fuss. I was made a son in 81 and 98, I take some drugs, a couple major ones, still not emaciated, taste the crumbs, turn up the bass to let the basic bump. Banal to my blood stain the avenue. Cats are cool, cash is rule. And we catching all the cancer too. Passing while we chanting mood. Laughing at the man still I'm pushing up the daffodils. Low hanging fruit. Don't hang with you and yours. She got low bangs. And you a human and humidor. Slow change of views. Movement of a troubadour. All in all, I'm smart enough to know what stupid's for. Low hanging fruit. Don't hang with you and yours. She got low bangs. And you a human and humidor. Slow change of views. Troubadour, true, all in all, I'm smart enough to know what stupid's for.
Bittersweet sounds, one industry town. Syndicates drowned by the litigants, hung by our ligaments. Workers losing benefits, criminal interest in it, claiming they beneficent. We are in a new time, paradigm shifting, and they're telling us we're shiftless when all we do is show off our shifts and shit. Standing on the fiscal cliff, polar bears swimming for the coast, post up and bear witness rope thinner than the hair on our a chinny chin. Chillin' in chinchilla skin, slippin', sippin' chivas, chicken littleish. Sky is falling, dying birds, Mark Fitterich. March in the mist, tear gas, cartridge, carcinogen, sniffle mint.
Forget the sirens and listen to the words I'm saying. Forget the crunch of broken glass on the feet. Forget the patterns of light reflected off the edges. Forget the bag, get off the street, yo.
And we're back, episode 204, Better on Draft podcast. So usually we do the news with segment 2, but we wanted to bring in our special guest, Christy, who has a topic for us to chat about beer, something a little lighthearted as we're kind of walking into the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big fan of trying to hit all the breweries wherever I'm at. I mean, I hit a conference for work in St. Louis. What can I get to from my hotel? What are kind of little hidden gems that I can find throughout the state of Michigan? So let's talk hidden gems. What are the favorites, little places that you've been to? I was touching base with Ken when I was talking about coming on the show, and one of my favorites is Rolling Oak in Grayling, of all places.
Rolling Oak.
Yeah, I mean, it's right up 75 when you're going up north. So my husband and I hit the UP a couple times a year. He lived up in Houghton for a while, so we always stop through Grayling. I mean, it's a really cool place. It's in this old ice house, which I mean, obviously, I'm there for the beer, but I'm a sucker for a brewery that's got a cool locale, too. And, like, in an old ice house, like, the history of that area is pretty cool. So what are some places that you guys have been? I mean, Michigan or otherwise, the kind of, like, hidden gems off the beaten path.
I think one of the big ones that I always talk about and I always make sure people know to go to, because it's around Traverse City, but not in Traverse City, and that's Hop Lot.
Oh,
Hop Lot over in
yes.
Hop Lot is so fun.
Because it's definitely, as you say, off the beaten path. It's over on the peninsula up there.
Yep.
It's in Sutton's Bay. The outdoor igloos are always a big hit for anyone that wants to go and do something a little bit different. But like when you mentioned about that was the first thing I thought of is that where did I go and make a special trip?
Yeah.
You know, I do a lot of travel for work myself. So where have I gone to make that special trip on top of where? Because I wasn't in Sutton's Bay. I was in Traverse City. You know, where should I go? Another one that was kind of off the beaten path, I was in Petoskey, and this was, I mean, it wasn't that far away, but Burnt Marshmallow.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, so
I'm really good at this game.
I've got a story to tell you about Burnt Marshmallow. So my husband and I were going up to Petoskey for like a weekend getaway, just going to hit some breweries, just going to stay at a hotel getaway. And we saw one of those like blue Michigan attraction signs on the side of the road, and it just said Burnt Marshmallow Brewing. And I was like, turn around. And he was like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of that. And I was like, we have to go, obviously. So you drive, and I don't know like how recently you went, but like it's a really small place.
Yep.
And you turn down the road and it's just this tiny house like in the middle of this like farming area. And you're like, I don't know if this is right. But we go there and we sat and had like a couple hour-long conversation with the owner because it's just him and us sitting there.
Yep.
And I'm so glad they get like business. I would love if they can continue to like brew more and distribute because their beers were phenomenal.
And what's great is that little line you can actually go to Mackinac Trail.
Yep.
Then you can go to there's a cidery and winery on the way called Resort Pike. If you're really up for wine and you went to Mackinac Trail for wine too, there's Walloon Lake right over there.
Okay.
And then you can go to Burnt Marshmallow. So there's in this little probably like 4 or 5 square mile area, there's 4 good drinking spots out there for you to get warm during the
Get warm.
or get loose before you go to Ottawa.
Yeah.
Sure.
Ottawa. jeez.
I would say my secret spots or whatever it is we're describing, they're places that I've been. But I went down to Houston a few years ago.
Okay.
And St. Arnold's Brewing Company. They're the oldest brewing company or brewery in Texas.
Wow,
it's like
that's
25 years though. But they had some phenomenal beers and good. They do brewery tours every so many hours and stuff like that, and do a good job. And I would say the tour guide that we had, Christina, she did probably the best brewery tour I've ever been on, as far as explaining the brewing process.
That's awesome.
Like it was so simple, but you could follow it. Like you go to some of these breweries and you're like, they explain all this shit, and you're like,
That's way over my head.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. But you go to St. Arnold down in Houston, and she just broke it down for you in a way that
That's really cool.
it was good. It was, you could follow. They have the brewing, the canning right next door, and then the beer garden and stuff. And then I had another one. So Nick, I'll try to think of it.
Okay, thanks.
St. Arnold was my Waypost. Waypost was my other
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Right.
Waypost down in Fenville. Was going down there for a wedding a few months ago, and
think I've been to
you
that
can
one yet.
see them right on the highway. And I was like, "Oh shit, that's a brewery." so
That's how
I
I feel whenever we're going anywhere. Oh, there's a brewery on that sign.
Right.
Let's stop by.
and you pull in, and you're like, "Where am I?
Yeah.
This is like a farm."
Well, so Ken kind of hit on Burnt Marshmallow.
Yeah.
The first time I went there to Burnt Marshmallow was in 2017 when my wife and I did our tour of Michigan brewery tour anniversary trip.
Nice.
How many did you hit up?
We were averaging about 3 a day.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So
How many days?
We left on a Saturday, came back on a Sunday. Wait,
Okay, that's pretty.
it was
good.
about 7 days because we ended it in Jackson and there's
That's
nothing.
8.
No, there's like 4 breweries in
Well,
Jackson.
I had
Poison Frog still open?
I don't know.
I think
I had the
so.
bowl. I had the bowl in Jackson. It was
Yeah,
for the Michigan
okay.
State Bowling Tournament.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we went to Burnt Marshmallow. We went to hit up Terra Firma.
Yep.
Yep.
Terra Firma was
Yep.
pretty. That was another. I think that's one a little bit off the beaten path a little
It
bit.
is, yeah, because you
But-
got to go off, yeah.
But the first one, I think we actually hit up Terra Firma first, and I
'Cause
think
it's on the way in.
yeah, and it was
Yeah.
like one of the very first ones there, like that we hit that day, and then we went out to Burnt Marshmallow.
Did you hit Beards while you were up in there?
No, we did not. But Burnt Marshmallow, we got there. It's the house, it's the farm,
Yeah.
and it's. But we were there during a weekday,
Okay.
and we're like,
So you pull up and you're like, this
we're like,
can't
this,
be
like
the
we're like
brewery.
exactly. Like, where the hell are
Yep.
we? I'm pulling up. I pull up my beer map, and I'm like,
It
oh,
says it's here.
okay, I guess I'm in the right spot.
Yeah.
So we go up, and lo and behold, there's they're open. It didn't look open, but they're open.
Yeah.
We actually did Petoskey, my wife and my dog, earlier this year,
Nice.
and there was so many more people there this time, but it still had that homely, still off the beaten path kind of feel.
Absolutely.
There was a bachelorette party there at the time.
Okay,
and
so a little rowdy.
a little rowdy. They wanted to reach out and pet the farm animals that were there.
Maybe.
And I'm like, yep,
maybe
you've
don't.
had a little too much wine. But there's an awesome picture of my dog on that Pints and Pups group that Angela created.
Oh, cool.
And we got a good picture of Boomer, not like baby Boomer, Ed,
Okay.
but Boomer. But Boomer, our little schnoodle, sitting on the table with his first beer.
I feel like I
We
can
didn't
no
feed it to
longer
him,
look
but-
at your dog the same way without screaming, "Okay,
Okay,
boomer."
Yeah, I know.
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Fetch that ball.
Okay, I got a tangent and ask. So, does your dog like seek out beer?
No.
Or okay,
No,
so
no, he really likes to seek out just people's faces.
Okay.
So I'll be laying or sitting down on the couch. We'll be watching something on the television, my wife and I, and he'll just like hop up and he'll just get right in your face. He
Almost
don't
definitely,
care.
yeah.
He doesn't respect people.
Personal space?
He doesn't respect
No.
personal. He respects people, but he doesn't respect personal space.
I feel like that's every dog.
Well, this dog is like extremely high strung, and
Yeah, and
I don't know if it's the breed or I'm not sure. But.
Forgive me the caveat, Ken, but the first time I was over at my husband's house when we were dating, his dog, we were having he has a puggle. He's 12 now, but and we were in his backyard having a bonfire, and I turn around for a second, and I noticed my beer is gone. It was like a can of something, I don't remember what. And I was like, where the hell is my beer? This dog is a freaking alcoholic. He took my beer, tipped it over in the middle of the backyard, and is just drinking it.
Wait, he tipped it over?
I mean, we're on video. Like, he, picked it up with his mouth and, knocked it over, so he's just laying in the yard.
He was pouring one out for his homies.
Yeah, he's pouring it out. Our dog is an alcoholic. Eddie is an alcoholic, most definitely.
Eddie.
If you have a beer, you can't leave it on the ground, you can't leave it on the edge of the table. He will come and drink your beer.
What if it's a can of Coke?
No, he knows the difference.
What a smart ass dog.
It's unreal. But
Shit.
yeah, so Eddie is out of control with
My
we
God.
have a sign on
How
our
old
door.
is he? 12?
He's 12.
And
yeah.
he's survived all this beer?
Oh, most definitely, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, he's
Damn.
unstoppable. We have a sign on our door now that says, "Do not give Eddie any beer," because people think it's.
Did you make that A&R workshop or something like that?
Oh my gosh.
Did you make that out of an old door or something?
Oh my God.
Is that personal? Scripted with calligraphy and shit?
No, nothing that fancy.
Or
but
just written on a white piece of
it's
paper?
literally written on a white piece of paper,
Oh.
and I
It
get people
was
who are
used in
delivering
Microsoft
packages.
Word, Ed.
Yeah,
Sorry for giving you too much credit.
I get people mail people or people dropping off packages, and they're like,
MS Word.
I gotta ask, what does that sign mean?
Right.
Don't give Eddie beer. Is there a person in your house?
Who's Eddie?
Who is Eddie? No, it's my
Eddie
dog.
Murphy, damn it.
Eddie is an alcoholic dog. But, yeah.
Eddie, are you okay? Are you okay, Eddie?
We were
Are you fucking kidding me?
talking about off the beaten
Anyway.
path
Yeah.
beers or breweries and stuff.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of bars that I have found.
Absolutely.
Especially in my travels that I just love to go to or love to seek out.
Yeah.
Because they're usually the better bars. They're usually the
Absolutely.
I don't mind either the sassy waitress or the thick skinned one.
Yeah.
I want my beer and that's it. I don't need something pushed to me, or I don't need to hear your specials.
It's those little towns, I think, that actually make those places pretty cool and special to go to.
The ones that'll tell me, I'm like, everything after you say Bud Light, Coors is the beers I want you to tell me, and they'll still tell me the Bud
Right.
Light.
Exactly.
Because they've memorized it, though.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
they
don't-
have.
kind of like Waldenburg, like Waldenburg Bar over there in Romeo Plank.
Oh, I haven't been there.
Oh, it's like Bud Light, Miller Lite, Corona,
But it's
but then they get Powerboat from ROAK.
okay.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
It's fun going to those types of places though. I remember I was camping up north and we were trying to catch fish and cook dinner, and everything just went fucking haywire. We didn't catch shit, and it was rainy, and so we didn't have a fire. We're like, fuck it, we gotta go find somewhere else to go. So we're literally getting 2 bars of service, maybe 1, and trying to find somewhere to go eat food. And it's this tiny little bar in the middle of the woods, somewhere in mid Michigan, and we're like, all right, let's hope they have food and alcohol. But truly, they had a couple craft beers there and stuff like that, and the bartender is just sassy woman, and the food was phenomenal. I think those are some of the best places, and you may not always find the best selection, but I mean it's a good place to just kind of sit and shoot the shit, which I think is always a good time.
Another place that kind of pops up. It's again not off the beaten path, not a small place, but
Sorry.
has no windows.
Okay, are you talking Salty Dog or
No,
what?
it's over. It's in Shelby Township.
It's
And
called Hooters.
McClenaghan's.
No one goes there for the wings.
No one goes
I
there
don't know
for
McClenaghan's.
I don't know that one.
So it was up until a couple of years ago, the domestics, Bud Light,
Yeah.
Miller Lite, those were the beers.
Okay.
Now within the last couple of years, I would say probably within the last 2 to 3,
yeah.
now they're bringing in Old Nation. Now they're bringing in. We won't mention their name, Los Foundres.
Los Foundres.
Oh. But
Grand Rapids.
yeah, there you go. But you'll see Old Nation. You'll see Bells.
Sure.
You'll see Shorts.
Yeah.
You'll see some of maybe the more bigger name, but even Old Nation, the medium size.
I would say Old Nation.
Yeah.
You're like, shit. They have Old
It's
Nation.
Oh, yeah.
M43. You're bringing M43 to a. It's
Shelby
it's a
Township
dive
and
bar
little
to
dive
a
bar.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean, if you go
I-
there on St. Patrick's Day, they're still pouring green beer out for everybody there.
I just saw the best review ever for this place.
What is it?
It's your typical hole in the wall bar, and I mean hole. It's got cheap drinks, Kino, loud music, loud crowd, crappy bar stools, and a crappy old bar top. The food comes from a tiny rundown kitchen where everything is deep fried, maybe even the burgers.
Ooh, okay.
The popcorn is
All
so
right.
salty it should be against the law, but you'll eat it anyways because it's addictive. The bartenders ask you if you want another at appropriate times, so she does her job well enough. Don't use the bathroom unless you absolutely have to, and then try to hold it a little longer. It's cheap, tall, cold, strong drinks. I'm in.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's a positive review. Overall.
I think so too.
3 out of 5 stars.
Okay. All right. So it's worth.
That wouldn't discourage me from going there.
Yeah.
Where was this? I'm sorry.
It's
Shelby Township?
Shelby Township,
Township.
on Van Dyke near 24 Mile.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Again, no windows, but neither does Waldenburg.
But
Actually, a lot of those places, like north of like Hall Road, like
No.
some of those hole in the wall bars, no windows.
No windows.
No windows.
But I think that's one of the things that, like, and I'll harass she will never listen to this. She's kind of, but my mother-in-law a little bit, like, trying to get her into, like, drinking other beers that are considered, like, craft. There's another. Beers that are considered craft beers, and how places have started making it more approachable, and how like other like bars that they would probably go to are kind of carrying a lot more options.
Yes.
I mean, this is a woman who would drink Michelob Ultra. No disrespect, Darcy, I love you. You'll never hear this, but Michelob Ultra with a glass of ice type of thing. And now, like, we came over to her house for Thanksgiving, and she's like, "Guys, I just tried this beer, and it's so good. It's called Perrin Black," and I'm like. Darcy, you're not drinking Michelob? Like, I was honestly, like, so proud of her. I mean, everybody likes what they like.
Yes.
And, like, if you like it, it's a good beer. I really like that phrase, Ken.
There you go, Ken.
So I really like that. But I think it's one of the really cool things about there being so many breweries and so many places and these little bars, like,
Yeah, and we're
carrying
seeing
that.
and we're seeing it a lot more. Our friends that joined us a while back from the local over in Centerville.
Oh, yeah.
I've not gone there, but
It's a great place.
it's basically like your blue collar,
Yeah.
middle of nowhere bar / restaurant.
Yeah.
But he
A small little downtown of Centerville.
small downtown Centerville
Yeah.
turned this into a place that you can go and enjoy a craft beer, and he makes it approachable for the locals there because that's like the only place around, isn't it?
Was the pun intended?
I don't know. Was it?
The local? The
Oh.
locals?
Didn't even think about that.
But speaking of that, Nick, we were
Yes.
talking off air about Port Austin and the Thumb
Yeah.
in
Yes.
general,
Yes.
right?
Yes, yeah.
And I went to this place. I was drumming along the Thumb outside, I guess you
Sure.
could say. And there's a place in
Coast.
Port Austin called Port Austin Kayak,
Oh.
and you can rent a kayak, paddleboard, whatever there. And I noticed there was a bar there.
Oh.
Okay.
They put in craft beer bar, and you can come off the lake or stop by like we were doing, and just drink your craft beer there
And rent a kayak.
and run a kayak. Or you could be like me and just
Kayaking
stop by.
and drinking craft beer.
They do that in Traverse City. They do, like, a whole kayaking beer
I was
tour,
gonna
don't
say
they?
I frequently
Interesting.
float. I start in Mesick.
Yeah.
And I float for about 3.5 hours.
Nice.
And I will float down whatever river that is with craft beer in hand. So
All right.
I mean, I think it's all about, like, kind of changing, like, people's perception of, like,
It is.
where beer can be accessible, and it's moving definitely. I mean, not as recently, but, like, moving from just, like, kind of you go to your local watering hole to, like, yeah, like, you can kayak
Right.
throughout Traverse City and hit a bunch of breweries, or you can kayak.
What if I
like,
could
around-
open up, like you were talking about beer and like beer being able to be brought in public places
Yeah.
that normally you
Like
can't?
your park and all that.
Before,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winter cut.
What about
Ooh.
like beer pop-up shops on the
Oh, most definitely.
the tubing thing that you do?
Damn it, dude! I've thought about popping
Like
one
a
of those
floating
up,
raft
right?
that's just
right?
like halfway down a popular like river or something.
You ran out of your Miller Lite, dropped in the river. Come by my whatever,
Yeah.
Upsale.
Every mile.
Get yourself like a Samsung Note 9 since it's waterproof, and
that upgrade my Note 8. So
because they're like, oh, I can't take payments. Well, I can take your credit card here.
Exactly. Give me your Apple Watch.
Well, who has
Here, let
their
me
wallet,
Venmo you
though?
this money.
That's true
Who has
because
their
I
haul it.
I remember, if you guys remember the tubing that goes down Lake St. Clair over in Port Huron.
Right.
And when the wind took them over to Canada.
Oh yeah.
And nobody had their IDs on them.
course.
Nobody had anything.
Right.
And people were literally jumping out of their tubes and trying to swim back to America. And the Coast Guard's
rough.
like, just
go away.
no, they're like, just come here.
come here.
We will bring you back.
Well, that's Canada for you.
Yeah, that's wild. I never heard of
They
that.
said like they all came back that night. Like it took them, obviously they had a process, go through all the legal channels of you invading a country on your
God damn
tube
it,
and your
America.
bikini.
Accidentally. Wasn't there a guy a couple years ago who got really drunk and he tried to swim across the Detroit River?
Yeah.
And he made it and he only got in trouble coming back. They caught him like on his way back.
Right.
That's actually impressive that you do it during that when you're drunk.
Honestly, I don't know that I could
I
swim
would
that
fucking
far
drown.
sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. For real.
Rip.
Yeah.
Rip.
Rip.
Yeah, there's no planning going into that. You're just going in probably with the clothes that you have on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I got to be
definitely, like-
drunk as fuck
You'd be like, I
to
can
jump
swim in
into
that.
a body of water and be like,
Like the
I'm gonna
Detroit
fucking
River.
swim.
I'm going to swim
Whoa.
Caesar's Windsor
Right.
for fun.
There's lights over there. Let's swim. I gotta be drunk. I gotta be like fucking blackout.
my gosh.
And he probably was, but I'm shocked he didn't drown.
Why?
You know, well, at least it's not near Zug Island. At least.
Oh.
You know how dirty that is. Very dirty. It's bad.
It's not good.
It's not good.
good.
It's not good at all.
What's not good?
By Zug Island.
Dirty water by Zug
Water.
Island.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not good, yeah.
Oh, the Zug Island water.
Zug Island.
But I think it's really cool to see, like, and we were talking, like, before the show started, like, these places, even, I mean, you want to see them succeed, but even the places where it's seasonal, I mean, where you go up and you can just kind of get a beer, like Elk Street and Sandusky, like, these tiny places that you didn't really, like, hey, I had no idea there was a brewery here. Like,
Right.
It's been really fun to, like, when you're traveling during the holidays and going to see family, or when you're headed somewhere else, like, truly, I don't know which one of these, like, literally you see the sign and you're like, brewery, and you're like, yes, like, it's a gravitational pull to, like, kind of check it out. And it's 9 times out of 10, like, those tiny ones, like Burnt Marshmallow, where you just see that sign and you're like, I want to check this out, and it's phenomenal.
And usually the smaller ones, and you know, we talk about the festivals, and we always try and go towards ones that don't seem to make the trip very often,
Exactly.
if at all,
Yep.
because those are the ones that you have to try, because you
Absolutely.
never know if they're going to be there next year, or if they,
Yeah.
you know, they don't want to make the trip every year because it's just too much and things
But
like
it's
that.
a lot, and not all of them
And-
have a lot of inventory. You know?
Yeah, and they're bringing basically their probably
Everything.
They're basically everything that they have.
Yeah.
Their flagships.
Absolutely.
And you know, those are the kinds of places that, you know, gravitate towards in festivals, and those are the ones that, you know, if you find something that's like a diamond in the rough, then you know, that's all it takes to bring everyone to that place to go get it when they go on their next road trip.
There's and this is not a Michigan brewery, but there's a brewery in Ohio just south of the border. It's called Inside the Five. Have any of you been there?
Inside the Five.
Nope.
Okay, so
Is this,
apparently
is this Toledo-ish? Mommy?
I think it's more closer to Mommy.
Mommy.
It's in
so-
Sylvania.
Sylvania. Sorry, thank you.
Like the VCR, Sylvania?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's
All right.
Apparently Inside the Five is supposed they're alluding to football. It's 2 guys who used to play football, but they have like some of the best beers I've had, and it's rare that you like try like almost all the beers on their draft list.
Yes.
And you're like, I really liked everything I tried, type of thing, and it was kind of really refreshing to have that type of experience. So I highly recommend it if you're ever just south of the Michigan border. Inside the Five, they have one called Triangles or Squares, and it's a peanut butter jelly porter, which is why my husband wanted to make one of those. But and if you don't like peanut butter and jelly, you're gonna hate it. But it tastes like you're drinking a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
No.
No,
Not at all.
Okay, all right. He's not here
No,
for
I
it.
have never had a peanut butter and jelly beer that I liked.
Really?
Ever.
I encourage you to try the one at Inside the Five.
I've had 2. I've had 2 that I've really dug, and they're all on the west side of the state.
Yep.
Elk.
Yep.
Yep, I didn't like that.
No, elk is so good though.
I love it. I
Talking
love
about the
PB
peanut butter
PB
and
jelly.
Yep.
That is my wife's
is a very
probably
good
her
beer.
current favorite right
And
now.
then my other favorite is Fetch.
I don't know that one.
Fetch is in Whitehall, and they
Okay.
have cold lunch. And it was one of my favorites from a recent
I love the name.
I've breached.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Is that like a Mean Girls reference?
Yes, it is.
I've breached my 50 posts, so I don't know where. I think it was Winter Beer Fest.
Okay.
Winter Beer Fest last year.
Okay.
I gave them my top beer.
Yep.
Hey.
Cold lunch from Fetch Brewing in Whitehall was more jelly. You got because normally people nail the peanut butter.
The peanut butter's easy, but it's
Yeah,
the
nail
jelly.
it. The jelly came
the jelly
through.
is difficult.
Oh, it was so good.
We've got one fermenting in our closet right now that
Okay.
I'm really hoping when we bottled it, it smelled like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it tastes like that, and if it doesn't, we'll forget I ever mentioned it.
Because here's my thing. Like we can hit the peanut butter,
Yeah.
but now we're getting the jelly. So my next thing is, what about the bread?
Okay, so I had a beer one time. I think I was at like Hopcat or something in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And I was
The
like,
OG?
surprised. Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, surprise me. And they were like, here's this one. Like, it's got a real, like, breadcrumbs flavor to it. And I was like, what the shit? And I was like, all right. She's like, it's really popular. I'm like, okay. It tasted like you were drinking bread, and it was one of the most disgusting. I wish I remembered the brewery, but I wouldn't want to call them out. That'd be really rude. But, like, it was the most disgusting beer that I've ever tasted.
I like bready beer.
My personal preference, I did not
You
appreciate
didn't
it.
like it? But was it peanut butter jelly or was it just bready beer?
Oh, no, it just tasted like you were drinking, like, stale bread.
Oh.
It just tastes like yeast.
Yeast. Was it an
Kind of,
infection?
yeah.
A yeast infection?
Oh, gross.
I went there. Damn it.
Oh, that's gnarly. That's really quite gnarly.
Yeah, you
Got muted.
you got muted for that one. That is for damn
That was
sure.
disgusting. That was disgusting.
Yeah, you ain't coming back this
That's
segment.
gross. But I mean, speaking of like all the breweries that are in Grand Rapids, because that city is just completely blown up. I think Elk is kind of one of the underrated ones there that a lot of people don't, because it's not quite downtown, you know. And there was a couple others.
You got that one, and then you got the one in Comstock Park. That's Elk, but. The one in Grand Rapids, there's Donkey Taqueria over there.
Okay,
and if you,
what is that?
It is a tequila and taco bar over in Grand Rapids.
Donkey Taqueria.
So pissed I'm muted.
Yeah, it's your fault.
I have so much to say.
My goodness.
There was one that
Yep.
I
So there's the Donkey Taqueria, and then across the street, I believe it's called the Wellington. It's like an Irish pub style.
Okay, yeah.
Place that's really, really good too. So great place to go get food and then, or go get beer and then food, or if because there's usually a wait.
Okay.
So you might be waiting like an hour and a half.
so you go get a beer
so
and
you
then
go
you
grab
come
a
over.
beer or two.
I like the way you think.
They text you, so you don't even have
Perfect.
to. You don't have to
Perfect.
wait in there. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Did any of you hit
Shout out to Donkey Taqueria, I guess.
Donkey Taqueria? I'm gonna have to hit up. Did any of you before they because they don't exist anymore? But it was a similar, I mean, much more like urban, but a similar type of scenario when you're going to Burnt Marshmallow. Like you look like you're kind of driving into a subdivision, and you're like, there is not a brewery here. And then out of nowhere appears Hideout. They don't exist anymore in Grand Rapids. Did any of you hit them?
I've hit Hideout.
Yeah.
Everyone wonders why I like Hideout.
I loved Hideout.
And I had an amazing customer service experience at Hideout, which
Okay.
is why they got my business
Okay.
and got my positive. I only went there once.
Yep.
I've had their beer a few times because
Yep.
they bottled.
Yep.
But at the brewery itself, I went there and the power went out.
Oh no.
And so usually I'm like, well, I only have like $10 cash on
Yeah.
me. And he goes, oh, well, what were you looking to buy? And I go, well, usually I get a flight and a pint of the brown.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, $10.
No shit.
And I go,
Nice, man.
okay.
Yeah.
So he sold me a flight and a pint, and that was it because he couldn't take credit card.
No, and they couldn't
And-
sell anything. Yeah, that's
Yeah, there was no knuckle busters or anything there.
pretty
So
awesome. But and that's that type of place. Like when we're talking about hidden gems and things like that. Like there's a ton of breweries in downtown Grand Rapids, and no disrespect to any of those breweries, but it's kind of more fun to find those ones off the beaten path that maybe don't get as many visitors. You know?
You know, it's one off the beaten path.
Tell me.
I got unmuted, so thank you, Ken. All hail Ken.
Wait, which number is he again?
6. Hey. The hops. We had the
Where was
hops
that?
recently on the show.
yep,
The hops
Yes.
is in Walker.
just outside of Grand Rapids.
Walker,
So
okay.
between
Yes.
Grand Valley State
Yeah.
and Grand Rapids,
Uh huh.
the hops.
I need to check that place out.
Walker,
It's on
Grand
Cummings.
Rapids Ranger.
Right.
Okay.
So it's right on the outside by the zoo. So
Oh,
if you're headed outside of the zoo, boom, right there on
Okay.
Lake Michigan Drive in between, like I
Nice.
said, Grand Valley and Grand Rapids. But they are making dynamite beers.
What
at
are they kind of
Hops.
known for?
They're known for their lagers.
Okay.
They're well known for their lagers, but Eric over there is doing a phenomenal job at trying to like match up with the trends, but then also sticking true
Doing
to
his
what
own
he
thing.
likes.
Yeah.
Yep. So
That's really
I
awesome.
did brewery review of the hops, and then we
Nice.
had the hops recently on the show as well.
A
So-
couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Before we take a break, as we're up against the second break, Bill Carney in the chat says his secret gems are Bad Brewing and Mason,
Yes.
New Union
Yes.
and Lowell. Tony, we're just gonna say Tony L because I'm not gonna butcher that last name or try to read it. Says Bad Brewing is great. Rob, who's home with some grounded teenagers, says Temescal Brewing in Berkeley, California.
Okay.
Bill Carney says Spare Time Bowling Alley in Lansing has a kick-ass craft beer menu.
They do. They do.
He said they
That's
had
pretty
a
cool.
Great Divide Mexican Chocolate Yeti Imperial Stout there
Damn.
at a Christmas party last week he went to.
Wow.
Tracy Hudson L, so I'm guessing maybe someone related or married to Tony, said it's pronounced Founders. We do know. We just
We
don't
know.
talk about
We
them.
just don't talk about it.
Thank you.
Michigan
Thank you,
Brewery
Tracy.
Review
Yeah.
says Fountain Hill and GR is the most underrated.
Okay.
And Bill Carney says Hideout ... Hot Tub City. I liked their Big Six barley wine. All right, we are going to take a quick break. This is LXL again, Better on Draft Podcast.
I say anything, Cusack. No news, let's do that, cause that's good. Who's that? How can I know John Cusack? You whack. You whack. Set. How can I know John Cusack? You whack.
You can catch me at the grocery store hosiery aisle. Over my shoulder, smiles and chattering. Trying to find the pads with wings, the right brand of rice brand. Brandishing the nicest price tag. Just make sure it's organic, gluten free, and comes from Iceland. More in common with Streisand and Seinfeld, the most who rhyme well. More comfortable in delis and wine cellars and at the shelter. Eat, smelt, and gefelter with Sarah Michelle Gellar's assistants. All my relatives distant. Always felt like the misfit. Now I miss shit like eating Bisquick and Count Chocula. Been having super high cholesterol since colostrum. My intelligence, the benefit of my genetics, but the cost of them is feeling I'll be accosted in a Holocaust every autumn. Official stories never bought them. Swimming in white water with Hillary Rodham while Bill went with Sodom to Nolan Richardson's office. Watching Corliss Williamson jogging in hog heaven. Augment the nog head trip with nuggets and chocolate. Cogswell Cogs, Gracely Boggs, Spacely Sprockets. With only change in our pockets, it only changes in pockets. Gentrification, the pain and the coccyx, the coxswain is intoxicated. Headed straight for the rocks, rocks is straight, it still blocks the concentration. Constellation at the top of the Pontchartrain. Who could really say, kid?
I say anything, Cusack. No news, let's do that, cause that's good. Who's that? How can I know John Cusack? You whack. You whack. Set. How can I know John Cusack? Yeah. It's that Kurt Cobain, he did it for the corny love. So it's fuck, so we scoring drugs out the front door of clubs, of which we might see a portion of large, extra large, cause I'm sorta chub. I'm giving y'all raised hands more to touch. Somebody's in the kitchen with the Dinosaur, order up. I'm trying to break down these borders before I shuffle off this mortal clutch. Wifey supports, I guess she don't think we pouring up. Foreign order, foreign rum imported for us for a clutch. We don't use a fourth of the fortune that's afforded us, at least we know that. Growth rap, focus on the whole map. Global view like I was a part of that Apollo program. Not a Rollo throwback. Got couple ton of old hands. You never watch your raps at your bed. I told you ass, I wanna hold hands, whatever. Slow dance or something. Hold hands while I smartphone low maps. Like we don't know they low jacks. Oh snap, broken envelope drop like Bilbo's token. Fuck 'em open aerobe, exposing no skin. Gross point blank stick, going over all shit. I say anything. Yo, Yo. I say anything, Cusack. No news, let's do that. How you not know John Cusack? You whack. How you not know John Cusack? Say anything, Cusack. No news, let's do that. Cause that's good. Who's that? How you not know John Cusack? You whack. So how you not know John Cusack?
Okay, buddy. I was just trying to cheer us up, so go ahead. Put on some old sad bastard music, see if I can. I don't want to hear old sad bastard music, Barry. I just want something I can ignore. Here's the thing. I made that tape special for today. My special Monday morning tape for you. Special!
It's fucking Monday afternoon. You should get out of bed earlier.
Come on, dude.
And we're back.
Wow.
Episode.
That was intense.
What song did we come into there?
That was LXL during the break. People who are listening will not have heard that song. They'll hear the first song from the break.
It's
Okay.
the part at the end of that song was Catherine Keener from 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yep.
Basically telling
Speaking of which, you can pour me some
Yeah.
Quadruple Big Bad Baptist.
Quadruple.
I don't know what that has to do with the 40-year-old virgin. but
nothing,
involves-
that's okay.
It's just
Absolutely nothing.
This has nothing to do with it. But
Yeah.
the line that she was saying there to
Her daughter, right?
no, it was to oh god, Steve Carell's
Oh,
character.
yeah.
A 40-year-old virgin.
40-year-old virgin himself. Basically, telling him to go f off.
F himself, pretty much. Yeah. That was intense.
Why
Tim.
don't you go? Wait, I don't know.
It was a lot.
So Bill Carney helped us with the reference, and it said if you didn't catch the reference, the building that Hideout was in was one of those rent a hot tub by the hour places before it became a brewery.
No, it wasn't. Holy
Thank you,
shit.
Bill. Thank you.
Thank you for that
Was
information.
that Grand Rapids, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
in
just
Grand
outside,
Rapids.
yeah.
I wonder if I heard of that place on like Channel 95.5.
Benjamin-
I doubt it. I really
Benjamin
doubt
Ord
it.
joined the chat. He said, "Isn't Hideout a business?" Obviously, we
They
are.
are, yeah.
We are aware they closed back in March, I believe, of this year.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately.
Benjamin says that was a good spot that was never busy, but was probably part of the problem.
I agree. It was right on the outside of Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
It was kind of you kind of had to go into a business park for it.
Yeah, and it felt like you were kind of going into almost a subdivision. Over
Right,
there
and
too.
there's another brewery over that way, kind of Kentwood area that's kind of in that same boat. I'm not going to call them out, but it's
But
kind of like
that's hard. Like you're trying to get like cheaper property, you know, that's
Well,
not right downtown.
Look at. There are places where if you have the beer, people will come.
Yeah,
that's the
true.
thing.
That
So-
is true.
Dragon meat is
Yeah,
not the
no,
easiest
they're
place
not.
to get to.
No,
That's a good
not.
point.
And people will still go to the point. Well, I mean, they just opened up Dragon's Landing on Wednesday or Thursday of this
Yep.
week.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wednesday.
I feel like you also got to market it though. I mean, you got to
The-
really have the word of mouth kind of people talking about your beer because you can have good beer, but if nobody's coming to drink it,
Yeah, but here I agree with you,
Yeah.
and there comes a point in time where, and this was a conversation on one of the Facebook groups talking
Okay.
about, because Dragon Mead does not have the beers that everyone wants right now.
No,
They
no.
do not have double IPAs
They go
or
kinda
hazy
wild
IPAs
with everything, yeah.
or anything like that. Like I mentioned it, I was talking to a guy on the Untapped Discord,
Yeah.
and I made the comment, and it's funny to me just because whenever somebody brings in a beer and there's a bunch of words, and I said that's just too many words.
Yeah.
Your beer has too many words.
Yeah.
So I mentioned something like a hazelnut coffee infused barrel aged rye whiskey Mexican chocolate cake New England double IPA.
Nope, give me 25% of that.
That's how I feel. So with Dragon Mead, I think Dragon Mead was able to stay the time because the beer that they do make, Castle Bright, Eric the Red,
Juggernaut.
do they make Juggernaut?
Yeah, Dragon Mead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't I not remember that?
I don't
one? I
know.
know
I don't
Armageddon,
Armageddon Grand Cru.
Grand Cru. Yeah, they have plenty of beers that are good, true to style,
Yeah.
solid representations of the industry and what beer can be made. They always have 40 to 50 beers on tap.
Yeah.
They have sodas on tap all
Yep,
the time.
Yep.
There's
There's definitely so many breweries at this point, I think, that are trying to do so many things just to try and stay relevant. And I think there's something to be said for kind of making a really good just IPA or making a really good stout, you know? And I think people will find that and will appreciate that if you're doing your own thing and you're doing it well.
Yeah. I
said.
I mean, fun, like really kind of funky, complicated beer is good and it has its time and place. But if I just want to go have like a nice stout and just like kind of drink that, you need to be able to kind of do those like basics really well, I think.
Well, when I introduced, so they had like a script for me for the Golden Jiggers, but I actually was able to write my own script for the best brewery, and you could honestly tell, and no offense to the people that were presenting and going up there, like you could tell they're not normally on a mic, like
and they were drunk too, right?
No, they were very sober. Although, hold on, you ready? Shout out to Old Nation.
Yeah.
What 2 beers did they bring for everyone that was there?
M43.
43.
No.
Boss Tweed.
No.
Detroit Dwarf.
Yes.
Okay. I got it. See, I had to like switch to like old school Helles Lager.
The Vienna Lager.
Okay. All right.
Those were the 2 beers that they brought.
Good for them.
And
Good for
I
them.
was so happy to be able to be drinking Detroit Dwarf.
Yeah.
This is the speech, and this is kind of, what makes the best brewery, because we talk about these small little places, but they're not places we're gonna seek out. They're places we're gonna go when we're by.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
when we're
absolutely.
running by.
Yeah.
So like for me, like in Seattle, if I'm going to Seattle, like I'd love to go to the Ballard area again, because there's so many breweries within walking distance that you can go have fun.
Yeah.
Uber there, Uber out, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to go to a specific place, I want to go to I think it's called Machine House, which is a cask only brewery.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Intriguing.
So when I talked about it, I mentioned, so when we started this show, here's a fun little game. Well, we did a little game last time. You can go over or under. Closest one wins absolutely nothing. When Better on Draft started in 2015, how many open breweries were there?
In Michigan.
In Michigan.
Michigan.
Okay.
204.
Are we doing Prices Right rules?
You can, sure, why not?
I'm gonna stick with 204.
I'll say-
180.
I'll say 240.
I feel like you've read something because it's 205.
I did it. I swear.
Damn it.
I know there are currently, or at least a couple years ago, there are more breweries in Michigan than there are any type of airport, like municipal, county.
Sure.
Easy.
All right, so here's question
That's a
number
good
2.
amount.
Okay.
As of today, so a week ago, so not including Dragon's Landing,
Okay.
how many breweries are there in the state of Michigan? So that includes production-only facilities, facilities with seating, so not including Dragon's Landing.
Let's
so
try
you got the first point, so you start again.
327.
Okay.
374.
Okay.
380.
You should have just went 375.
Oh!
Because if
Ed.
No way.
that's how you play Price is Right. You just
That
one
is.
up the next one.
Right.
You still won with 386.
No, he was
Shit.
over though.
No, the answer is 386. He said 380. I was just telling him that he's dumb at playing this game, and he still won.
Well, there's no money at hand here. So.
There is no
last
more.
week, what did I win last week though?
Absolutely nothing.
No, I won that 120. Where'd that 120 go?
I don't know. Did you not
120.
take it
Drink
home?
it?
No.
Oh, I must
Wendy
have
and
taken it
Rob
home.
told me not to take it home.
Take some of these
I
beers
must
have-
we have.
so-
I
home
must have
then.
taken it
Take
home.
the October.
Well,
Yeah,
bring it
take
next
one of
week.
these
I'll bring it
beers
next
Bring it
week.
next week.
Or did
180.
we open it and drink
No,
it?
we did not. I was polite.
Okay.
I mean, that's a hard one. All right,
Well,
so
you have 0 points tonight, so.
that's all right. We got one more question. So, according to the Michigan Beer Map, which is obviously
Ours or theirs?
ours.
Okay.
Ours. So, not Michigan Brewers Guild, Michigan Beer Map.
Much more.
Yep.
That was on camera.
I know.
How many are set to open as of Sunday?
As of this coming
This
Sunday?
past
This
Sunday.
past Sunday?
As what's our time frame there? Sunday to what?
The
2020?
just open licenses
TBD.
ready to be opened.
Are they MLCC approved?
Yes.
27.
Oh, Nick goes first.
I'm so sorry.
no, you can take. I'll let you have that. I'll
Let her change her answer after your answer.
I'll say 32.
32.
I'm going to keep 27.
Okay.
16.
Nick's going to win this one, 75.
Holy
Wait a
shit.
second.
Where?
Whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. 75.
75.
75.
Well, I mean, 74 now that Dragon's
All right,
Landing is open.
and so-
right. Okay.
So we're gonna. So there are now over Over 450 plus
Pretty much, yeah.
in the state of Michigan.
So you're ready? Here's just Metro Grand Rapids.
Oh, God.
High Five Co-op in Kentwood, Red Belly Brewing in Kentwood, Brewery Vivant's opening up a brewery in Kentwood.
Okay.
Good for them.
Boston Square Brewing Company.
Is that Broadleaf?
Or
Or is that just Brewery Vivant?
Brewery Vivant.
Because that would be their third location.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn.
Cooster Brew House in Grand Rapids. E.D. Dunback and Girls Farm in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
We'll go up to Cedar Springs. Sistema Cider is opening up. And I'll even do
places.
Greenville Flat River Brewing Company.
Good for Greenville.
Heading down towards like Kalamazoo, Battle Creek.
Yeah.
Battle Creek Territorial is moving. Hand Map Brewery.
Okay. That's a cool name.
Gull Lake Distilling Company in Galesburg.
Okay.
Deep End in Kalamazoo.
Okay.
Kalamazoo Valley Culinary is opening up their own brewery.
Is that like a
Ronin
school
Artisan Ales. Excuse me. Yes, I believe it's kind of like a school craft.
Okay.
Sorry. Here's your Metro Detroit. Let's just do kind of like Metro Detroit proper.
Yeah.
So Rosedale Beer and Bistro has a license ready to go. Motor City Brewing Works is opening up one over on the Fashion Mile.
Okay.
Tenacity Craft is opening up one down here.
Nice.
Batch Brewing Funk Room is still in the process of being open as a tap room.
Okay.
Black Bottom still has one. Detroit City Distillery is opening up their own. Lager House number 5. Bent Rim. Those are all Detroit's.
Okay, I got a question though.
Yeah.
So, like, I love beer, and obviously we all love beer. We're on this podcast. At what point do we hit like overcapacity? For the amount of breweries that people can hit.
I'm going to tell you right now, there will never be another M43, another Old Nation.
Exactly. So, at what point is it just kind of like oversaturation of the market?
I mean, this.
And I know, and I'm not trying to like be like a pessimist in that. Like, I love beer and I love checking out new breweries, but you see these new ones open and they close in a couple years. Like, more power to you, open a brewery. But
I see this happening with the soon to be booming cannabis industry in the state of Michigan, where everyone's trying to get a piece of the pie,
absolutely,
piece of the market share, trying to score, a quick dollar. Yeah. And then obviously they'll close
in
or
the weed industry.
Yeah, in the weed industry.
I mean, the good ones will stick around, obviously. But 70 plus new breweries is unreal.
Especially in an industry that hasn't been around forever, but it's started getting a big push probably within the last decade.
15 years.
10, 15 years. I mean, back then there was your Dragamine, your Kunin, maybe a few more, and
those are the middle tiers, though.
And those were middle, but that was it.
Yeah, there was
that was it for the longest time, and then we go through this craft beer renaissance and explosion, and next thing you know, pretty much every county except for Macomb.
Well, let's
has more
hold
than
on, because look at Baffin started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jamex came in.
Yep.
Shipwreck came in, and Shipwreck left.
Yeah.
Sherwood.
Dragonmead,
Dragonmead.
or not Dragonmead, just came in, and according to the chat, Tracy Hudson saying Copper Hop's opening up on Saturday too.
They are.
So you could literally hit up Dragon's Landing, Copper Hop. You can do 4 breweries in St. Clair Shores now.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's insane.
But can St. Clair? I'm just playing devil's advocate. Can St. Clair Shores support
100%?
Yes.
I think
All right.
St. Clair Shores can.
All right.
Yep.
In that area, yes. I think that's true.
The thing is that St. Clair Shores not only has a huge population density, but they have a lot of people that come in that own boats on the piers.
Most definitely.
You think about the nautical mile, the restaurants, obviously the bars.
There's a reason Waves Chill and Grill is still in business, and it ain't their service or anything.
It's
food.
fries in a pail,
there.
baby.
Yep.
Fries in a pail.
I used to host Quizzo there.
That was fun.
And they would charge me, it was $1 for a PBR. And so I would just buy like 10 PBRs and give them away to people for any reason.
You made me laugh. Here's a beer.
I did exactly. I would just
love
have a
it.
bucket, and for non-specific reasons, I'd be like, "Oh, I like your shirt. You have a beer."
Yeah, that was a hilarious wrong answer. Please take this
It was
PBR.
why are you look confused? Just take the beer.
I did the same thing at Augie's when we're
Yeah.
talking about the bubble, and I think Matt is a big proponent of it. I agree with it too. Is that it is the mid-tier breweries that are either going to fail or be bought. And
Yeah.
I'm not talking like you have your top tier, and
I agree.
I'm going to be honest when I say top tier is going to be Shorts,
Yep.
Atwater,
yeah.
Founders,
Too late.
Bells.
Bells, yeah.
Those are our top tiers in Michigan.
I
Most
think
definitely.
I think nothing will happen technically to those brands. Sans
They're
being
pretty
bought.
solid. Yeah, they're
They're
pretty
not
solid.
going
Sans
out of
being
business.
bought. Yep.
Not going out of business, but Sans being bought.
Yep.
Obviously,
Absolutely.
Short sold 19.99 to Lush. San Miguel at the beginning of next year is 90% owned Founders.
Yep.
So yes, they can be bought, but those are the top tier
gonna be around.
production facilities. And you know what? I'm going to add a fifth one because I think it's just going to keep growing. And I'm going to say Old Nation on there now that they have Contract Brewing over at
Brew Detroit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, they do have contract.
Because I was gonna say, Old Nation is in that echelon of mid tier right
Yeah.
now.
They're in the middle top
They're
tier
in the
with
middle-
like
they're in the
Odd
mi-
Side
yes.
Ales, New Holland.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
going to say there's some others
New
to
Holland
add.
is yeah.
prior
But-
to M43, they were
Now,
They were not. I mean,
they were
because
nothing.
I
Yeah.
know Travis, he's not going to sell anytime soon. But those other breweries like
could
New
be
Holland,
bought,
Dark
yeah.
Horse.
Well,
um,
Dark
Dark
Horse
Horse
already
got sold.
Oh,
Yeah,
Dark,
they got
Dark
sold
Horse went to
to
Roke. But
yeah.
that doesn't mean Roke can't be bought.
It's true. That's a good point.
Roke was smaller than Dark Horse, even with
Most
Dark
definitely.
Horse's drop, and
But
still could buy
Roke
them
somehow
out.
got the capital. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Roke came in with a lot of capital.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, remember
I love John Leone. Not many people talk to him, know him, and the way he entered the industry, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah.
But
I remember the first time we had him on the show. It's like,
do you remember that
yeah,
episode? Because I
do.
don't.
I mean, it was a rough night, but
That's the episode I pissed someone off so much that 3.5 years later, he's still mad at me.
Rip.
oh,
Ouch.
that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
It-
Better off. But
Dark Horse is a wild place, but I mean, I gotta respect.
I went there, and
I
every
got
beer
married there.
every beer they had on draft I could find in a bottle, and I got pissed. I'm like, why did I come here to drink anything I could get in a
Welcome
bottle?
to Dark Horse.
I was
Okay,
but
so I
that's-
got married there because it was a cheap venue and it was at a brewery because like everywhere else, but they've made some interesting business decisions. I gotta say, yeah, they've made some very interesting business decisions.
I think when craft beer was the Wild West in the mid 2000s
Yep.
to early 2010s, it was perfectly fine.
Absolutely,
But they did not adapt to the
No,
change.
not at all. And you're in
And
Marshall. Like,
well,
you have to.
and you also did not have the longer legacy of beer like
Nope.
Kunin,
Nope.
Dragon Mead.
Nope.
Because that's the thing is that Kunin fully went out of distro
Yeah.
and just recently went back in within the last year and a half.
Yes.
Dragon Mead's distro has never been crazy large.
Right. Right.
And they relied completely on taproom and
And that's where Arcadia fell
Yeah.
off.
yep.
Arcadia was too big.
I can't even tell you the last time I drank an Arcadia.
I'm
beer.
bringing you a Christmas present
There
next
you
week,
go.
Ken. A Christmas present from Arcadia for one of our shared ventures.
I
Now-
gotta say though, Ed, because the brewery tour I took at Dark Horse when I first went there the first time was one of the best brewery tours I went to. It was this
Really?
old man who like took us around and explained all these things, and there was this statue on top of their tap room upstairs that it. I don't know how much you censor on this show, man. It was like a penis with like boobs as the balls, and I was like, "What the shit is that, man?" And this is an old man, so I kind of felt uncomfortable being like, "Can you please explain to me what this is?" And he goes, "You know, that's just titty balls, big dick." And I was like,
what is going on?
"You know, as you do, of course. You know, it was one of the more entertaining brewery tours I've ever been on in my life." That
Now-
doesn't mean they make smart marketing decisions
Here's
or whatever.
Here's a really good one. Benjamin Orr in our chat brought up Black Rocks.
Oh, what about
And
what about him? What did he
Up,
say?
yeah.
You say
Making a
Black
push
Rocks?
to the top echelon.
Do you think?
That I would say yes. I think their
I think
distro
they
is
could.
huge. I don't know if they distro out of the state.
They don't.
But
I don't think so.
They're working on it.
they're in state. You know what? Well, here's the thing with Griffin Claw has a
Yeah.
lot of money backing it, and which is why I think they're easily prone to being bought out.
I did not know that Griffin Club backed Black Rocks.
Griffin Claw doesn't know.
No,
this
no.
was just a secondary comment in
Got
my
it,
head.
got it.
No, like Griffin Claw, I think could get bought out. Now that they're going full distro.
I hope
They
not.
could, but
Oh,
I hope they don't either.
I
yeah.
hope not.
Their
I
beer is so good and just local and wonderful.
there's still beer that has been bought out that I still like. Like,
mean,
I
that's-
agree,
that's a
I
good
agree,
point. That's a
I
good
agree.
point.
I like Lagunitas still.
Absolutely.
Some Lagunitas. I love their hop water.
Isn't Mozengo Lagunitas?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I won't
That's a
admit
solid summer
my
beer.
buyout favorites, but
Say it.
I mean,
Come
Goose
on.
Island 312 still a
I was
solid
gonna say
beer.
Goose
It
Island's
is,
right up
it
there
is,
with
yeah.
AB. So
Like if I saw like if I wasn't feeling any beer in there and I saw a Goose Island 312
Absolutely.
or like I would.
I just bought a 2015 Matilda. It was the last one on the shelf.
Ooh.
It was a 2015 Matilda, and it was at my local bottle shop. And I'm like, "Yo, what's the story with this?" And they're like, "Yeah, we just
Found
had
it
it
in the
for a
back room."
while. Yeah, it was pretty much found in the back room.
It was a
and,
layer of dust.
and I was like, I guess I'll pay $3
like
for you.
this.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Damn, that's
Oh.
not a bad beer either.
Not at
Right?
all.
I don't know how it's gonna
$3?
taste like 4 years old.
maybe I'll
but,
bring it on the show. Maybe I'll bring it out. So.
See how it goes.
The chat is kind of blowing up, which is great. I always love it. Guys, you could join us every Friday night, Facebook.com/Better on Draft. Tony is talking about Homes in Ascension are killing it. I agree.
I disagree.
100%.
I disagree. Fuck boys. Hayes boys. Excuse me.
Man.
I'm assuming Homes because
Yes.
that ain't.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Yep. And I had the Ascension from last week, the Gorilla Juice.
Yeah.
The peanut butter, vanilla, cinnamon.
It was cinnamon. I wasn't
That's
impressed.
too many things,
I was in-
probably.
Yeah, too many words.
I was
Too many
unimpressed.
words. 100% on board.
Yeah,
was
the,
like-
too
the
many
Gorilla
words.
Juice. I don't like many of Ascension's special like limited release beers, but they're solid lineups of beers.
I
They
agree.
make a lot of good brown ales.
Flagship
which,
solid. Variants, I could do without.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say Rob our host in the chat. Obviously, he's at home making sure the kids are not online, but he's
They're playing
online.
Battleship, man.
Holmes makes too many
Minesweeper.
damn sours, gozas, and IPAs. I'd like to see them make a stout or a porter.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
That's fair.
Michigan
That's fair.
Brewery Review says Gary, the Dark Horse Guide. That's his name, I guess. is
Yes, the
Gary.
old man. He's the best. Gary. Yes. But he also wears a jacket that has a different name on it that doesn't say Gary.
What
and so
a-
he tells you his name and you're like, man,
What a badass right
What?
there.
I need. Is that an Oktoberfest Harpoon? I'll take
Yeah.
that. I'll take anything
go.
that's open.
Okay, so Holmes, though, now that I think about it, I feel like I like their food more than their beer. Is that wrong?
Where?
At Holmes.
I've never been.
I went to Holmes twice, and it was a private party both days that I went there, so I couldn't do anything
Their
about it.
food
Right.
is
You
pretty
can't
rockin'.
comment on that. It's a private
Their
party.
food is
Yeah,
really,
like
but
I-
they really
well-
only focus on
Well, I'm
sours
talking like
and
they
IPAs.
bought the building for that night. Like not like there's a
Okay, all right.
Okay.
like I walked in and they're like, "Are you part of the Toyota party?" And I'm
Sure.
like, "No," and they're like,
Of
"Sorry, we're
closed.
closed for tonight."
Right.
And I mean, it was
Always
like
say
like a
yes.
Wednesday night or something. You know what? I was meeting someone there.
You always say yes. Come on.
But
Meeting-
I've also
Meeting someone there.
yeah. I was single at the time. It's fine.
You say yes. I'm absolutely here for the private party. Show me
Well,
where it's at.
the person that I was meeting works for Toyota,
Ah.
So you could have said yes.
I could have, but she did not want to go and hang out with coworkers on
Well,
a
that's
date.
fair. Then you go to somewhere else. Then.
Can you blame her? Like,
No, not at all.
No. We went
Right.
to some random restaurant.
In Ann Arbor?
Yeah,
Why'd you waste your time?
Italian.
Oh. What's that tiny brewery in Ipsy, like right downtown?
Corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, Corner, which is Arbor Brewing Company.
Wait, Corner's not downtown.
No, like right on the main drag in
This
Ipsy.
is 734.
734.
734
Yep.
is what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
So I went to because I was in Ann Arbor today to close on my house.
sorry.
Exciting.
And I went to Townies.
Townies is good.
Had a blast. They had a brown ale called the Little Brown Chug.
Oh Yes.
Great pun. Loved it. That's not the beer that I had. I had their Marzen. The girlfriend got the brown. Okay. So bad decision to find a girlfriend who does not like IPAs as well. So therefore, all those IPAs in my house are still going to be aged.
I'll take them.
I will bring you as many IPAs as you want. Some of them have age.
Okay,
I'll take that into account.
As the former girlfriend, now wife, who didn't drink IPAs, like you can slowly introduce her to that, and now like I can drink IPAs, I can drink double IPAs. It's just a slow introductory process.
No,
not at all.
She wants the beers that I like: the browns, the darks, the malts, the Marzens, the alts.
You're in your 30s, so that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's actually
Same.
I'm talking with our sponsor over at North Center, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna brew the English mild, and that's going to be a keg over at our housewarming.
That's really cool.
So
wow, that's
really
awesome.
So we'll buy a keg from them and bring it over. But it's going to be a fun little date thing. So it's going to be Julia and I. We're going to meet up Cody, and she's going to show us how to brew a beer there. And we're going to brew just I don't know what kind of batch they want. I know Ultraviolet actually sold pretty well, to where they brewed bigger ones, but I'm like, an alt, I'm like, I don't want to, let's just do a 5-gallon batch. And
because you want people at your house party to actually drink the beer you
have there. But that's why I think an English mild will be good, because I think it's very, very easy to drink, low ABV, so people can drink more than one. So yeah, that is definitely the goal. We're excited to work with North Center. So a fun little things. But for those of you listening, we're actually going to be this Sunday. I'm going to be over at Batch Brewing from 3 to 6. I'm going to be hanging out with the girls from Detroit Girls Pint Out. They're doing a little craft and beer drinking and eating thing that's going on over there. So they invited me to come out, so my girlfriend and I will be there. So come out, say hi if you want to go, especially if you're a female fan in the industry. If you've never been part of the Girls Pine Out, definitely seek them out. Obviously, there's the Detroit Draft Divas, and if you're in the industry as a worker, there's Fermenta too. Which I believe it's past deadline, but they were giving away a scholarship too recently.
They did. That's awesome.
So
that's really cool.
They're doing great work. We actually had one of the head people of Fermenta on when we had Beards on during the Fall Beer Fest episodes.
Nice.
What's her name?
Emily.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I ran into her over at the Grand Rapids Beer, Wine, and Food Festival.
Okay. Oh, that place.
Let me tell you that the beer, no.
Oh.
So hold on. Let me backtrack.
Backtrack.
Okay. Yeah.
Please do.
Because we were invited to go check it out as media. Therefore, I'm giving you a media perspective of it.
That's fair.
For what I purchased in regards to tickets, it was about $1.50 for every 2-ounce pour of beer. So $1.50 to $2.50. It was $2.50 for the Bourbon County. I think that was the expensive one, Bourbon County 2018.
Okay.
Or $1.50 for an ounce of liquor. Now, I understand, in regards to quality, quantity, everything like that.
Yeah.
But I drink, obviously, liquor a lot slower.
Absolutely.
So I'm getting more for my money right there. Because, I mean, beer, especially if it's something that's easy, crushable. And they had a lot of options that were more than beer. Obviously, they had cider, they had mead, they had seltzer. Like, Smirnoff was there. Unibrew was there. Like, plenty of great choices for you to have. Yeah. But in regards to where I'm spending my money, like, if I came up to you and I said, hey, you can have this hard seltzer from Smirnoff for $1.50 for 2 ounces, or for $1.50, I'll give you 1 ounce of this New Holland gin.
Yeah, that's an obvious choice. That's kind of tough.
New Holland.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, and they had a lot of wine choices. So if you're a wine drinker and you want to try a bunch of wine. Yeah. Great choice. Great place to go to. So many wines for you to try that you were the beer part was just in my opinion, worst part.
Sounds like an afterthought almost.
It felt like, and they did a lot of great things. Like they were doing it felt too much like a conference. And when I'm at a conference, I expect to be given what you're selling me.
Yes, absolutely.
not to have to buy it. So they had like New Holland, you had to pay for the alcohol that they were doing for their hourly cocktail sessions, but they were showing you how to make like good cocktails and presentation and how to like, they were giving you the tools to take it home to make it yourself.
That's pretty cool.
And it's not like over the top cocktails like Kiesling or the bar that's under the Checker bar or anything like that. Like it's not that over the top, but they're teaching you about like how we use the herbs and spices in this cocktail to bring out the liquor. So you're going to taste the liquor, then you're going to taste the cocktail, and you're going to be able to try to factor in. And a lot of it, I think, is placebo pill. Somebody telling you what you're going to taste, and then you taste it. But in the same sense, there was a lot of panels, and all the panels you had to pay for on top of it. So
kind of shitty.
It felt like the wrong place because they were trying to sell to what I saw like bachelorette parties and birthday parties and couple dates and stuff. But in the same sense, they also had panels, so it seemed like an industry event, and it just did not add up.
It sounds like, as an event reviewer, it sounds like like you described in your review, like a Venn
on betterondraft.com.
A Venn diagram of like conference and event put together. Like
there was
it didn't mesh.
No, not at all.
But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it. That's Grand Rapids for you.
I honest to God think if you're a wine drinker, great event. If you're
But did it cater to wine people?
Yes.
Did it?
Yeah.
What was it called again?
Great Lakes Beer, Wine, and Food Festival. The one thing that I felt was the best part was their Hemingway Hall, which was their liquor hall.
But it didn't cater
like the
to
name.
the liquor, though.
No.
There was not in the name.
No. The wine, though, like they had like I want to say like over 1,000 different wines you could try.
Okay, so that's going to cater to your bachelorette crowd that you talked about, right?
Exactly.
And food. So wine,
and
food,
they had like
boom.
pierogi, like a lot of like
pierogies
pop-up kitchens and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to cater to that, but the beer, I think that's where they got the short end of the stick. And I think that's what you highlighted in your review.
Yep, and speaking of the short end of the stick, it's 9:01. We're done, folks. The show is over. Christy, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Ed, as always, you were there. Nick, thank you for coming. Rob, obviously, cheers to you. I know you're home. That's going to do it for us. Better on Draft, episode 204. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's
Better on Draft.
Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Peace.